My students, Saira. Now today we shall proceed with the next part of our history, lesson number 6, that is empowerment of women and other weaker sections. Now in the previous part we have learned, children, about how women have contributed through various movements in order to stop the injustice that was going on in the society. Okay, so we have learnt about the anti-liquor movement, which was again launched for the supply of liquor, because of which many families have been suffering, and most important was the women who was suffering. Okay, and then we have also learnt about how due to the rise in prices, there was the shortage of supply of food materials, and so the women had launched the Latne Morcha under the leadership of Mrinal Gori. So in this way we have learnt about the various movements that were carried out in order to stop the things that were happening in the society. So let's proceed with the next part of the lesson. So International Women's Year. Now what is this? The United Nations had declared 1975 as the International Women's Year. The three aspects of this program were peace, development and equality before men and women, between men and women. So what was the three aspects of this program which was launched? That was to bring about peace in the society. It will help in the further development of the country, and also it will lead to equality between men and women. In 1975, the government of India constituted the Committee on the Status of Women and appointed Dr. Phul Renu Guha as its important chairman. So, Dr. Phul Renu Guha, she was been appointed as a chairman of the committee that was which was started in 1975. And what was that committee? It was on the status of women. Okay. So, next we will see a comprehensive survey was conducted of several issues such as social position of women. So as we know, children, that before independence the situation or the condition of women was not as we see it in the present conditions. Okay, as they were not allowed to go out of their houses, not to get educated, and as it was a male dominated society, so accordingly the women was not having any right to take any kind of decisions. So there was survey was being conducted, and in order to find out the social position of women, their status, the consequences of the constitutional provisions made for women, as also education of women and its percentage, their progress due to education, difficulties faced by working women, and the position of women with respect to work, livelihood, their wages, the female male ratio, birth and mortality rates, and the role of women. So we could see that after when the women's greatly contributed through these various movements, and when the committee was set up by the Indian government in 1975, accordingly after that the survey was made in order to analyze the situation before the committee was formed, and later how was the situation and what was the condition of the women's, like when they started working, when they were started given education, and women started progressing in various fields. So also was the status the same or it has changed? So accordingly a survey was done. Also we have seen in the first part, like the table in that, see, we have seen the census wherein the rate of women's per thousand male. So accordingly after this development, after the women were educated and they were given the facilities to move out of their houses and all, so what was the mortality rate, and also what was the role of the women, the ratio of male female birth and mortality, both was analyzed in the survey accordingly. Okay, so we can see Dr. Phul Renu Guha. Now taking into consideration all this entire background, after the survey was done, taking into consideration all this background, a statewide conference for women was held in 1975, organized by the Stree Mukti Sangharsha Samiti. So a conference was organized by Stree Mukti Sangharsha Committee after doing all the analysis of the conditions of the women. So in 1975 a conference was held and which was organized by Stree Mukti Sangharsha Samiti. In this conference, women from all walks of life or regions they have participated. The Samiti published its manifesto in 1978. The policy struggle against discrimination on the basis of gender, caste and varna was adopted. So accordingly, they decided to fight against the injustice, the discrimination which was done in the society on the basis of caste, custom, religion amongst the people. Okay, so they decided to launch a struggle against it. And what was the consequence of that? This gave rise to a collection of songs called Stree Muktichi Lalkari. So the songs were composed wherein all the women cooperatively participated in this struggle. So there was a collection of songs called Stree Muktichi Lalkari. A street play called Mulgi Zali Ho by Jyoti Mhapsekar and a periodical called Prerak Lalkari, which became their mouthpiece, and other such programs. So awareness was created in the society with the help of these periodicals. This plays like street plays. I hope you also must be knowing how on 2nd of October we have street plays related to various concepts or issues. We take several topics related to the society and we try to create an awareness amongst the people. So accordingly the songs were composed, plays were made, and also at the same time the periodicals were published in order to create an awareness in the society. In 1977, groups like the Stree Mukti Andolan Samiti established by Saudamini Rao in Pune. So Stree Mukti Andolan Samiti was a group which was established by Saudamini Rao in Pune in 1977. Then Baeja, a fortnightly, as also Stree Uvacha, Maitrin and Stree Anyaya Virodhi Mancha in Aurangabad, Mahila Dakshata Samiti in Kolhapur, Mahila Hakka in Nashik and Nari Prabodhan Mancha in Latur were performed. So in this way, in various states, various regions, we could see that in order to create an awareness related to the upliftment of the women in the society, various programs were launched. Then also we could see that there were unjust practices which were very prominent during that time, like the sati or say the dowries. So accordingly anti-dowry protection committees were formed all over Maharashtra. Then a conference for protest against oppression of women was organized in Dhule city. But children, as we see that so many programs were launched for the upliftment of the women in order also to stop the injustice done towards women, being an educated society, even today we find that the women's are not secured. So that is, as a generation today's, we need to create an awareness, or we ourselves have to build up our thoughts accordingly, respecting the women, right? And also to spread out the same feelings, same thoughts to the future generation, right? Then Vidya Bal's periodicals, Nari Samata Mancha and Milun Sarya Zani, as also the work of Samajwadi Mahila Sabha and the Krantikari Mahila Sanghatana were of great help in dealing with women's issues. So no matter there were so many organizations, there were so many samitis were there who worked for to stop the injustice done to the women, but still we could find in the present situation that due to all the ill practices like corruption and all, we could find that these rights are still being neglected in case of women's. The employment guarantee scheme in Maharashtra also helped to empower women. So the employment guarantee scheme which was launched in Maharashtra, it also helped to empower women. Now further, Pramila Dandavate, she established the Mahila Dakshata Samiti in Delhi in 1976. Now, branches of this Samiti came up in the states of Andhra Pradesh, Tamil Nadu, Kerala, Odisha, Madhya Pradesh, Uttar Pradesh and Punjab. So, there were various branches of these Samitis in various states which was launched by Pramila Dandavati. The Communist Party established the Akhil Bharatiya Janavadi Mahila Sangatana in 1980. Efforts were made to start branches of these organizations in all parts of India. The Sangatana started a struggle against issues like dowry, female feticide, domestic abuse. So in this way, we could see that this Sangatana, it also worked to stop all the ill practices that were done in case of women's. Okay. Then research on women's issues was undertaken at various levels. Women's study started at the first women's university. So which was the first women's university? The Srimati Nathibhai Damodar Thakarse, that is the SNDT Women's University, Mumbai, and a Tata Institute of Social Sciences. Mumbai, Savitribai Phule, Pune University and Shivaji University, Kolhapur. So various universities were started. These centers played an important role in critical analysis and in developing a vision on women's issues. Okay, so in this way various samitis were started, various programs were launched in order to bring about the upliftment of the women's in various sectors and also to stop all the ill practices and to bring about a equal society wherein equal status will be provided to both men and women. So children, we shall stop here for the day. Let's continue with the next part of the lesson in our next class. Till then, thank you children.